Afghanistan, often dubbed the graveyard of empires, sits at the heart of a volatile region. Landlocked and mountainous, its strategic importance has long made it a focal point of global rivalries. Bordered by Pakistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and China, Afghanistan's stability is inextricably linked to its neighbours. For centuries, empires have clashed over this crucial territory, leaving a legacy of conflict and mistrust. Today, Afghanistan finds itself once again at a crossroads. The withdrawal of US and NATO forces in 2021, after 2 decades of war, left a vacuum swiftly filled by the Taliban. This resurgence has reignited old tensions and injected a dangerous level of uncertainty into the region's geopolitical equation. The spectre of a new era of conflict, with Afghanistan at its epicenter, looms large. The stakes could not be higher. The following sections will delve into the most pressing issues threatening peace in Afghanistan and its surrounding regions.
The Taliban's return to power in August 2021 sent shockwaves across the region. Their swift and decisive takeover, after 2 decades of insurgency, caught many off guard. Neighboring countries, already grappling with their own internal challenges, were forced to confront the new reality of a Taliban-ruled Afghanistan. The Taliban's victory has emboldened Islamist militant groups across the region. In Pakistan, the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which maintains close ties with the Afghan Taliban, has stepped up its attacks. Central Asian countries, with their large Muslim populations and porous borders, fear the potential spillover of extremism. The humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, exacerbated by the Taliban's takeover, has further fueled regional instability. Neighboring countries are now grappling with the implications of a Taliban-ruled Afghanistan, and the international community is faced with the daunting task of engaging with a regime that is widely seen as illegitimate and untrustworthy.
The Durand Line, a 640-kilometer border drawn by the British in the 19th century, has long been a source of tension between Afghanistan and Pakistan. The Taliban's refusal to recognize the Durand Line as an international boundary has further strained relations. Afghanistan's successive governments have viewed the border as an artificial construct that divides the Pashtun population, an ethnic group that straddles both sides of the border. Pakistan, for its part, has long accused Afghanistan of providing safe haven to the TTP and other militant groups that launch attacks on Pakistani soil. The porous nature of the border, coupled with the presence of Pashtun tribes on both sides, makes it difficult to control cross-border movement. The TTP, emboldened by the Taliban's victory, has stepped up its attacks on Pakistani security forces. Pakistan has responded with airstrikes on alleged TTP hideouts inside Afghanistan, further escalating tensions. The border dispute between Afghanistan and Pakistan, rooted in history, ethnicity, and security concerns, is a major obstacle to regional stability. Adding to the complex web of regional tensions is the growing scarcity of water resources. Climate change has exacerbated droughts in the region, increasing competition for water among Afghanistan and its neighbors. The Helmand River, which flows from Afghanistan into Iran, and the Amu Darya, shared by Afghanistan and several Central Asian countries, have become focal points of this struggle. Iran has long accused Afghanistan of diverting water from the Helmand River, leading to water shortages in Iran's southeastern provinces. The 1973 Helmand River Treaty, which was supposed to regulate water sharing between the two countries, has been rendered ineffective by decades of conflict and mistrust. Central Asian countries, heavily reliant on the Amu Darya for irrigation, are also concerned about Afghanistan's plans to build dams and irrigation projects upstream. Unless Afghanistan and its neighbors can find ways to cooperate on transboundary water management, the struggle for this vital resource could exacerbate existing tensions and even lead to conflict.
Section 5. The Great Game Redux, Russia and China's growing influence. Both countries see Afghanistan as strategically important, and both are keen to fill the vacuum left by the US withdrawal. Russia, which shares a long border with Central Asia and has historically viewed Afghanistan as falling within its sphere of influence, is concerned about the potential spread of extremism from Afghanistan into its backyard. Moscow has been courting the Taliban, providing humanitarian aid and engaging in diplomatic efforts to stabilize the country. China, with its vast economic interests in the region, sees Afghanistan as a key link in its Belt and Road Initiative. Beijing has been engaging with the Taliban, seeking assurances that Afghanistan will not become a safe haven for Uyghur separatists from Xinjiang province. China is also keen to exploit Afghanistan's vast mineral wealth, estimated to be worth trillions of dollars. The renewed rivalry between Russia and China in Afghanistan has echoes of the 19th century Great Game, when the British and Russian empires competed for influence in Central Asia.
Section 6, Arms Race, Military Buildup, raises the stakes. As tensions rise across the region, there has been a concerning increase in military spending and arms buildups. Countries bordering Afghanistan are bolstering their defenses, fearing spillover from the conflict and preparing for potential confrontations. Pakistan, already a nuclear-armed state, has been modernizing its military and increasing its troop presence along the Durand Line. India, wary of Pakistan's growing military might and the potential for Afghanistan to become a breeding ground for anti-India militants, has also been strengthening its armed forces. Iran, facing its own set of security challenges in the Persian Gulf, has been reinforcing its military presence along its border with Afghanistan. This regional arms race is a dangerous trend that only increases the risk of miscalculation and conflict.
Section 7. The Road Ahead. Navigating the precipice of conflict. Afghanistan and its neighbours stand at a crossroads. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but it is not yet predetermined. The choices made today will determine whether the region descends into a new era of conflict or finds a way to build a more peaceful and prosperous future. Border disputes, water scarcity, ethnic tensions, the rise of extremism, and the growing influence of external powers all contribute to a highly combustible environment. One spark, one miscalculation, could ignite a conflagration that would have devastating consequences for the entire region. The international community has a responsibility to act, and it must do so with a sense of urgency. A failure to address the root causes of instability in Afghanistan and the region will only prolong the suffering of the Afghan people and increase the likelihood of a wider conflict that would have global ramifications.
Section 8. Diplomacy's crucial role, averting disaster through dialogue. In the face of these daunting challenges, diplomacy is not just an option, it is an imperative. The international community must engage in sustained and robust diplomatic efforts to prevent the escalation of tensions and create the conditions for a more peaceful and stable region. Dialogue between Afghanistan and its neighbors is crucial. Open and honest communication is essential to address border disputes, water sharing agreements, and security concerns. Regional organizations, such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Economic Cooperation Organization, can play a constructive role in facilitating dialogue and building trust. The international community must also engage with the Taliban, despite legitimate concerns about their human rights record and their commitment to peace. Diplomatic efforts should focus on encouraging the Taliban to form an inclusive government, respect human rights, and uphold their commitments to counterterrorism.
Section 9. Towards a shared future. The imperative of cooperative security. Ultimately, lasting peace in Afghanistan and the region can only be achieved through a commitment to cooperative security. This means moving away from the zero-sum mentality that has long dominated regional politics and embracing a shared vision of a secure and prosperous future for all. Regional countries must recognize that their security is interconnected. What happens in Afghanistan does not stay in Afghanistan. Instability in one country inevitably spills over into neighbouring countries, as evidenced by the flow of refugees, drugs, and weapons across borders. Cooperative security requires a multi-pronged approach, addressing the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunity. By working together, the countries of the region and the international community can help to create a more peaceful and prosperous future for Afghanistan and its neighbours.